I guess maybe if you talk about turning point, it was after the water sommelier certification. I was just so blown away by the knowledge and the varieties of water available in Europe. And I was like, oh my God, Singapore really needs more good quality, like natural mineral waters. After graduation, I went back directly into family business, but I just didn't resonate with it all. So there was a lot of, I would say, expectation, to also sort of like inherit the thing, take over the thing. It wasn't working out for me. I think I was mildly depressed. Hi everyone, welcome to the Clean Your Toilet podcast. My name is Sam Wu and I'm a certified water sommelier. But here we have Angjolie with me. Hi Angjolie.
Hi.
How are you?
Hi everyone, my name is Angjolie Mei and I am a funeral director.
Oh, interesting. Oh, by the way, I didn't know Angjolie and what she does before this conversation.
Yeah.
So this is completely new.
And now I get to know what you do.
Yes. Did you know what I do before this?
I was given a hint, but not exactly. I never heard of the word water sommelier.
Oh, okay.
Maybe you should tell me more.
What's your impression of water sommelier?
The only thing I think about water right now is, I don't know whether you heard of aquamation.
Aquamation.
Everything that I do is all related to my work. So aquamation is, instead of using fire for cremation, there's something called aquamation, using water to disintegrate a body. Yeah. Then again, this is where typically how my mind would drive. Everything is related to work. Yeah.
Yes.
So, but I think that's definitely not where your job comes in. Maybe you can tell us more about how do you come up with this job? Aqua sommelier or water sommelier? How do you like to be called?
Okay, I guess water sommelier is aqua sommelier.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's a term that was coined by, I would say this person called Martin Rees. Yeah. So he's this German guy who's based in the US. Yeah. And I would say that he's probably the most famous in terms of like certified water sommeliers. Yeah. So he has made himself quite a following, in the US.
Yep.
He's been on the Conan O'Brien show. He has done Down to Earth with Zac Efron, in a Netflix series, episode 2, if you're interested. Yeah. So I think he's the one that sort of started this thing, and that's where I got to first know about the concept of water sommelier. Yeah. That time it was quite interesting because I think most of us, we don't really know much about water.
Yeah, we don't.
Yeah,
I don't.
Yeah. But most of us, we just don't really know how to taste it or how to use it, Yeah. But he's the first one who sort of started to get people to be aware, of what's inside the water, what could help you, how could you benefit from drinking so-called the right water. Yeah, and how to taste them. Okay. Yeah. So that sparked my interest, I would say about 8 years ago. Yeah. And after that, I decided to go and study about it. So I went to a school, called Doman's Academy. Okay. Yeah. So where you study how to taste different types of water. You get to understand the classifications of the different types. Like why is Evian tasting this way compared to, say, Dasani, or something. Like how are they different? Yeah. Health benefits, how are they different? So as you go into that, then so after that, I decided to come back and open a business lah. Yeah.
How long are you studying?
So it's a full intensive 2-week course.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was there for like 2 weeks to do this, and it's really typical German style. Where it's like
drill you.
Yeah, drill you. Blind tasting.
I was gonna say, like, if today we give you blind test, are you able to differentiate? Like the year is produced, like a typical wine connoisseur, or like sommelier will be able to know straight away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not so much the year, I would say. Yeah, but it's more of, so water, right, contains minerals, and actually the thing that is so-called responsible for the characteristics of the water are the minerals. Yeah. So the mineral profile, will dictate its health benefits, its taste, and therefore its function. How can you use this particular water for a particular purpose? A low mineral water, a high mineral water, they have different uses, different function. A magnesium-rich water will function very differently from, say, a calcium-rich water or sodium-rich water. Yeah. So So after that, I when I finished the program, right, I came back and I think I would consider myself as the first one in Singapore. Yeah, at that time it was still very new, very niche. Still is very new and niche, Like today there's only maybe about 4 certified water sommeliers in Singapore. Yeah, and so I came back and after the experience, right, I discovered many good brands.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's not just Evian, there's a lot of other things.
Can share the brands?
Yeah. There are a few good ones around.
Okay, tell me
so
more.
I imported some of them. Yeah. So for example, one that is maybe you may want to take note of, which is quite impressive profile is a Vichy Catalan from Spain. Yeah. So this one is a bit so it's sodium oriented, high mineral water. So think of it as like tasting as like 100 plus. But without the preservatives, without the sugars, without the flavorings. Yeah. But it tastes a bit salty due to the high sodium content.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's sparkling water as well. Yeah. So that's quite a unique one.
So I'm very curious. So, like we all drink from the tap water.
Yeah.
So in your opinion,
Yeah.
you think we should boil first or drink straight from the tap?
So tap water itself, right? What's added to tap water is chlorine. Yeah. So chlorine itself has a certain taste.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's added for a specific function, which is to keep the water disinfected or safe. So small quantities are added. But that gives it a certain flavor, and it's what sommeliers would call off flavors. Yeah, because they do not appear naturally in the water.
Yep.
Yeah, they are not minerals in that sense. They are sort of added. Yeah, so although it's safe, but it does give it a certain taste, which some people may or may not like.
Like it.
Yeah, and boiling the water helps to get rid of it.
Oh,
Yeah.
So same but different.
Well, how do I say? I mean, it's added, right? And if you just don't like the taste, then you can remove it, or otherwise you can filter it through a filter. When some filters do remove that, yeah. Or otherwise you can just get a natural mineral water that doesn't have that off taste.
Of taste.
Yeah.
So how did you come into this job or this?
Well, I came into this because before this I was in the family business. So my family is in the apparel industry. Yeah, so we have say we supply like some of the big apparel brands. I'm not sure if you may know like Primark, for example, in the UK. Yeah, so we have factories, and after graduation, I went back directly into family business. Even though I studied a totally different thing. Yeah, but then again, the university studies were never really about the subject. It's more about you getting to a qualification. I think many people may resonate with that as well. Yeah, so you came back with that and then you sort of got into the family. I sort of got into the family business because there was a need to, at that time. But I just didn't resonate with it all. Yeah, there were a lot of, I guess, conflict between, family business can be extremely challenging. I'm not sure whether you are in family business.
No, I mean, no, not really.
Not really,
anymore.
Yeah.
But I can share later. Just tell me maybe your side.
Yeah, so
What was your experience?
family business has its own dynamics, and the typical one is like father son, power struggle, different ways of doing things.
You're the youngest or are you the only child?
I'm the oldest.
Oh, you're the oldest.
Yeah, I'm the oldest. Yeah, so there was a lot of, I would say, expectation, to also sort of like inherit the thing, take over the thing. But I guess most of that was also given to, I believed in that, or I expected myself to fulfill that also. Yeah, so it wasn't just expected of me, but it was like, I believed in it as well. Yeah. So you take it upon yourself, right, to do it. Yeah. So, but it was a struggle, lah. Yeah, and then the nature of the business was not something that I resonated with also. It's like apparel factory, garment factory. You just think of it, it's like very traditional, like sewing lines, stuff like that.
Is it still running your family business?
It's still running.
Who took over? Or
now my brother came back to do it.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's like passed down to him. But he seems okay with it so far, I think. Yeah. But he has to decide whether it works out for him or not.
Sure.
Yeah. But I've decided that it doesn't work out for me. Yeah.
So in your opinion, how was it like for yourself? Because being the elders, very typical that people will always have to undertake that responsibility. Maybe you can share your journey, how, when you told your parents, I think your dad especially, what was it like telling him like, this is it, I want to pursue another business?
Yeah.
Then what was the journey like for you?
Wow, I think I didn't actually tell my dad like face to face. It was more with my mom. Yeah. I guess it was easier, to talk to my mom than my dad. I think they sort of knew that it wasn't working out for me. Yeah, because of, I think I was mildly depressed. Yeah, because, so one of the symptoms of depression, right, is you completely lose interest in a particular hobby. You may just suddenly lose it, And I was a person who was very into audio, like what you call an audiophile. Like I would spend like a lot of money on earphones, digital to audio converters, amplifiers, things like that, cables. I will even spend like quite a bit of money on like the audiophile itself, like high quality, lossless, things like that. Yeah, so I was very into that hobby, but you could say the depression sort of killed it. Yeah, so that was when I was aware of it. I was aware that something was not right about myself. Yeah, and I think the whole energy of myself at that time was also very sunken, very down. And I still remember like there was this particular flight that I flew from Phnom Penh to Singapore, right? And I just broke down on the plane completely by myself, and it was a lot that time. Yeah, so I think I told my mom that this isn't for me. Yeah, and I think thankfully at that time I got exposed to the concept of water sommelier, and an interest piqued in me. Yeah, so I just wanted to just try out, like go to the school and see what there is there. I was very thankful I of course went for that trip. Yeah, but so I think they sort of knew that I was struggling. So they were not too hard on me on like, oh, why don't you stay or what. They were in a sense more supportive in me exploring other things. Yeah.
But what do you discover about yourself now? Now that you move something more in line with what I think it's now more in alignment.
Yeah.
I like doing things that you didn't want or expected to fulfill.
Yeah.
What did you discover?
Well, a lot has changed since 8 years ago. So there was I would say like another step, another change, along the way. Things change, interests change, passions change, and you just go with it, right? So from at that time, the interest in water was needed to get me out of family business and to go in this particular direction of being an entrepreneur, doing something that is unconventional. That's different from like one water som, right? Like what's that? And I mean, if I were to look back, right, I think I'm kind of crazy at the time to even go do it, because I mean, me having experienced it, now I know it's really challenging, to do that business, due to the nature of the business itself, right? It's challenging. But okay, so but then I mean along the way, so I did water sommelier business for about from 2018, until 2024 and 2024. Okay. But I was still doing the water business. But around the end of 2024, there was also another shift in me. Where I decided to go into a completely unrelated field as well. Yeah, and that is the field of psychotherapy, mental health, spirituality. Yeah. Nice. So that was another calling pulling me, just as at that time in 2018, the pull towards water, in a sense, the similar kind of feeling. Yeah. So what I would say is along the way, you may have certain experiences that then shape you and influence you and change you. And I think the lesson for me is you just got to go with it. Go with what your intuition and your inner self is telling you rather than resist it. Yeah. The fact that you're interested in something, it is a sign to you that hey, maybe this is something for you to look at. Yeah.
So from like water sommelier, you still regard yourself as a water sommelier, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So maybe before, I mean, there must be a shift also. So what was that one particular, other than you're unhappy with what you were doing at work, was there an episode or something that triggered and say, oh, I really like understanding about water? And then, I mean, that's very unusual. Like wine, I would expect, people will look at the terroir and then, which year. Yeah. But water is something that we need it, but yet we don't understand enough about it, right?
Yeah, of course.
So was there like a particular episode, and then maybe something you could share that now you have pivoted to spirituality?
You're asking about the shift from where to where?
So from your first apparel to water sommelier.
To water sommelier.
And then sommelier
to mental health.
Yeah.
Right. I would say the first shift was, I wouldn't say it was an overnight event. Yeah, for the first shift. Because that was more like a period of internal suffering. Yeah. And that pushes you to make decisions for yourself? Like, when have you suffered enough? Or do you want to continue down this path that isn't really you? You know? So it was a period of time, you know, and it just unfolded, you know, and of course the water thing, opportunity came by. I was interested in it, curious about it. Then I went to the school. I guess maybe if you talk about turning point, it was after the water sommelier certification. I was just so blown away by the knowledge and the varieties of water available in Europe. It really opened up my mind, you know, towards this space. And I was like, oh my God, Singapore really needs more good quality, you know, like natural mineral waters. And this knowledge that I've learned, you know, like I would love to share it, you know, with the world, you know, I love to share it with Singaporeans, you know. So I want to bring it back, you know, which is why I decided to open a business to do it, you know. Yeah, because that was the driving force, right? I want to share this, you know, this knowledge and the products, you know. Yeah. So I guess probably the one that really made the decision was the experience, the water som experience. As for the second shift, I guess it was also a period of time. Well, you can call it like a spiritual journey, right? Or a process, right? You know, like, I mean, we are always curious as to like, what's more, you know, or like, what's truly me, you know, and all that. So I guess, it was a process since starting the water business, you know, then as I got further and further into, as I started to learn, you know, call it spiritual teachings, then you find your teachers, you know, and then you started to learn, right, about, you somehow you attract to yourself like the teachers you need, you know, and you learn this, like, you can call it spiritual principles, you know, or how to live a more authentic life. Let's just call it that way, you know. And as you allow yourself to go with the flow and to do that, to practice these teachings, right, and you resonate more and more, so you start to transform your lifestyle, transform, right. So the turning point, the pivotal turning point was 2024 in October, where I participated in what you call a plant medicine ceremony. Yeah, what you call ayahuasca.
I heard of it. Yeah.
You heard of it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Powerful transformative process, I would say.
Go into inner works.
Exactly. I mean, everyone's experience with that is different because everyone has different lessons, right? And all that. But for me, after that particular experience, right, I've just decided that I no longer want to just be profit driven.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, and that I have a certain calling, a purpose here, you know, and therefore I want to act in that direction. Yeah, I want to be of service to the world and to myself in another particular way that resonates with me. You know, of course, the water thing does resonate with me, but now this is something new, you know, and I want to share it as well. Yeah, so therefore, after that particular ceremony, right, I've decided to completely allow myself to explore this thing deeper. Yeah.
So your business after that, I mean, you let go. What do you discover? I think first is, you know, not wanting to follow your family business.
Yes.
I mean, having to go through the plant medication. I hear so many sharings from my friends as well.
Yes.
Personally, I have not, but I'm always open-minded to share how this can help. Because I think because spiritually, a lot of times people are not really in tune. Right, they're out of tune, or they are just like what they see. This is the reality.
Yes,
but it may not be the reality.
Yes.
So that particular process actually helped them to then, I think, break down all the walls.
Yes, the things that are actually holding them back.
Yeah, and then you will get to see different things. Or you get to see the naked you. In a, you know, like who you are.
Yeah, the raw version.
The very raw version, like maybe the purpose that you are here for.
Yes.
Right, on this journey. So I'm very curious. I mean, also I like the spiritual talk.
Yeah.
How did that help you? And then now, how do you see your life? What's the purpose of your life?
Yes. So, well, I'm still doing the water thing, you know, and that's part of it also. You know, I guess I'm really sort of built my
reputation,
profile, everything, you know, around that also. So people know me as like the water guy or the water som guy, you know. So yes, but then me going to this is, I don't know, there's just you could say like a wish or hope that everyone can lead a joyful, ecstatic life that they deserve too, you know. So it's really to help others to let go of this baggage, whether it's given by their parents, society, friends, whatever, right? That is this story that they are telling themselves that they have to be this version, you know, they have to be that, you know, that's not really them, you know. But that it's easy to be yourself, you know. It's so relaxed to be yourself. But to be someone else, that's where the suffering happens, because the resistance, right? Because you are fighting against yourself. Yeah, and many people are fighting against themselves. So I guess it's just that wish that is driving me to motivating me, you know, to hopefully in my own capacity share whatever that from my own experience or whatever teachings that I've learned to help them let go of these things. You know, of course, it's ultimately their own choice whether to let go or not and all that. But at least I'm there to provide, to be the example. Of course, firstly, I embody them, right? To be the example for others, you know, so that they can lead, you know, a happy life. Yeah.
But what do you realize about, like, I mean, spiritual, you know, you talk about letting go.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people who are listening, I think it's so easy to say, hey, let it go lah.
Yeah.
But it's really hard to do, right? Even though that song, let it go. But yeah, I find that that once you discover your purpose, sometimes people don't quite understand what maybe I'm sharing or like what my view of life is.
Yeah.
And your purpose now, you have it more crystal clear now.
Clearer, clearer, yes.
As we live life and we are more in tune, how have you seen the change in you back then, you know, than
so
now?
different.
Yeah.
I'm getting more, the word is ecstatic, joyful, at ease, you know. Of course, there's a process. You know, you do a lot of inner work as well. Yeah. But now I view every trigger, you know, every so-called negative experience, I view it as a teacher. You know, it's there to show me something about myself that I've not yet integrated. Yeah. So when you look at it that way, then as you take the action, right, to look at it, you know, and then to integrate it in that sense, then you just become lighter. It just feels good. Yeah.
You feel grounded also, right?
You feel grounded also, and you just, I don't know, just happy and just at ease. Angjolie, I've been talking so much about myself, but I still know nothing about you.
I think, you know, when you're sharing about your family business, your family, I also come from, well, actually, no. I was not expected to take over business.
Okay.
Because being a female, that's why I understand, you know, a male and a female, maybe back then it really plays a part. Male usually have to succeed, right, for the business. But because my dad ran his funeral business and it was three of us, three daughters and one boy.
Right.
And my brother is much younger. Like he's 15 years my junior.
Right.
So we never really talk about this. My dad never had like a succession plan for us.
Yeah.
And I think also he didn't expect that he will leave Earth so early. He was only 64 when he passed away. So I think when my journey is a little bit more like I just accidentally came into the industry. Or I didn't learn. There was no education about funeral. There was no education, or even in Singapore, there's no funeral school at this moment.
Yes.
And back then, of course, not.
Yes.
So no one wanted a female to join the industry, right? Because it's very taboo. Typically, you will see, female is the tauke's wife, the boss's wife.
Yes.
Rarely do you hear young female joining the industry.
Yes.
So when my dad passed away, I thought that was something I needed to do. And I came into the business to support my mom because she was not in the good space. Again, you know, at a point she was grieving. Then she has to take care of the business. She's also a housewife. And at that time, you know, you sort of see the shift in the energy or the dynamics of the family will shift. Yeah. So every time you lose a loved one, actually the beginning of life starts after the funeral, not after the person passed away. It's after the funeral. Yeah. That's where the casket is already cremated, the ashes is already inurned. Then that's where you go back to the house and you see, wow, there's a shift in dynamics. Yeah. So I became sort of someone who needs to support the family, to upkeep or to make sure my mom is taken care of. No one take advantage of my mom, because my dad was always the one, right? The breadwinner. But I think, having said that, my mom is the irony, the fact that she's probably the only parent who say, oh, you better don't come and help in this business, because I'm a female and then I have a degree. Why do I want to be stuck in this industry? Which at that point in time, it was almost 2024 when my dad passed, 2004 when my dad passed away. So it's almost 22 years, right?
22 years.
So 2 decades ago, well, who wants to talk about this industry?
Yeah.
Maybe, now
not so open then.
Yeah, we can have this conversation, but back then maybe you hear what I do, you'll be like, oh, choy, bye-bye. And then you walk away, right?
Yeah.
So, but I guess that was also when you said the challenge. It was hard working with my mom. I think because she was never born, like she didn't study business. I didn't study business also.
Yeah.
And it was always challenging to tell her about, I have some new ideas. And then I realized every time I want to implement changes, she will be very upset with me. Or when I first came in the industry, I was telling my dad's stuff like, okay, guys, we need to have more, we have to take care of the departed in this way.
Yes.
And then maybe they'll be like, wow, you're telling me I've been doing this industry for so long. Or even like a very simple gesture where I remember telling a part-timer, he was smoking in front of the family. So imagine like the funeral service, the ceremony was happening.
Yes.
And he was just like blatantly sitting there smoking.
Yeah.
In front of the family, while the family is going through a ritual, and then of course the monk, Buddhist monk were chanting, right?
Yeah.
And then I went over. I don't know what got into me. I was only like very young, and like maybe much younger than them.
Yeah.
So I just went over and I said, and I still greet him, Uncle, 麻烦你可以去那边抽烟嘛? Like, can you please move over there? To smoke, don't smoke in front of the family. And the next thing, I came back to the office. My mom was like, wow, you scolded him. And then I said, oh. How do you know? I said, yeah, because the whole street is calling you a chili paddy now. I said, that's good. Like he's smoking in front of the family. Why should he?
Yeah.
So there's a bit of like, they don't see certain parts about the service.
Yeah.
So I think that was also when, I felt like I didn't grow to, I don't like to be in contradiction with my mom or like in conflict, right? Because you only have one mom, right?
Yes.
And you don't want to be like constantly fighting. So I think that part when 2010, when I started, I had to let go. I had to let go of that opportunity of not making my dad proud, right? Because in my mind, I was like, oh, I need to make my dad proud. I need to help him with the business. But because me and my mom and I, we were having so much conflict. So it was time I said, I need to let it go. It was not easy because I remember I went for a meditation and then, I felt a lot of anxiety and maybe disappointment with myself. And then I remember asking and I was doing a yoga dance class. So I asked the yoga dance instructor, what should I do? I'm getting all this anxiety, like whether I'm on the right path. And I was 30 years old at a point. And then she said to me, put your heart, lie down on the floor with your heart near to the ground. And then just ask like the universe to give you the answer. So I said, okay. So I did that for a few days, even though the floor is not the ground, it's like very cold, marble flooring.
Yeah.
But I think the message came was like, maybe you should run your own company. So that's when I started. I think it was great because then me and my mom, we don't fight so much. We have a much cordial, relationship.
So she ran her own company and
She still run my dad's brand with my elder sis now. My elder sis came back and support her. So I start my own company. So when people ask like, hey, why do you want to be in... I have so many times when people say, hey, 你不孝啊, you're not filial. I said, no, I left my job to support my mom in the family business because I wanted, this was out of filial piety.
Yes.
Right. But along the way, I found a passion, like a little bit like you. I went overseas to seek, education about this industry. There's so much to learn in the world, right?
Yeah.
And then, exactly. You saw a lot of variety of water.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of variety of how we can celebrate or commemorate a person's life when they pass, right?
Wow.
So that was the beginning.
Yes.
So that's why my company is called the Life Celebrant, because I believe in celebrating life.
Love the name, so positive.
So then in short form, it's TLC, so Tender Loving Care. So I think that's where I see the shift. And maybe that was when I started my spiritual journey. I understand a lot. I'm very reflective. I'm very like, there's a trigger. Just now you talk about trigger.
Yeah.
then I will always constantly ask myself, I think there was once maybe something I came across, and this message was, your mind is like a garden. I recently just shared this with my team. I said your mind is like a garden, right? If you plant nice things in your garden, you will have very beautiful garden. Your mind is like a beautiful garden where, it's so nice. There's a lot of flowers and etc. But if you don't mend your garden, then that's where your weed will come out. You have plants that you don't want, and you just have a lot of junks, right? So a lot of times when that helps, being reflective and also being in tune. So it's really like my body soul. Like, hey, am I liking this? I'm also asking my body, like, am I liking this? Hey, maybe I have an adverse reaction to certain things, or a trigger that, hey, how come I'm feeling sad about this? And then I will ask my mind, like, help me recall what happened that causes the same reaction. Because I did Vipassana meditation for 10 days, right? Vipassana meditation in India. And I think there was something that say, respond, don't react. And so every time consciously you'll be like, oh, how come I'm feeling this? But instead of reacting, of course we are not sane after 10 days, right? But you still need to practice constantly. But by having that awareness, then you'll be asking myself, oh, I'm feeling sad. When was the last time this happened? And have I done to resolve it or let it go? Right? So then, then sometimes in the middle of the night, maybe I'm in the shower, suddenly, this episode come up. So I love to use my mind like my database, because so sometimes I dream about it. It's like, oh, so this incident happened. So that starts the whole journey. And I believe we can learn to break patterns, cycles. But sometimes, the first step of letting go, that's always the tough one.
The awareness of it first. You have to be aware that you have this pattern or this conditioning.
Talking about awareness, I used to hear this word called awareness before change. And I have a different theory. I have a AAABC. Because awareness before change is ABC. So mine was a AAABC.
What's that?
So first you are aware. Then you must accept. Then you must agree that you want to change. So why I came out with this was because I just remember I was dating this ex-boyfriend, and then he's like, I quit smoking for you. I don't know, at that point I was only 27. I said, you don't have to do anything for me. It is you. You should decide whether you want to quit smoking, not because of me. So just because we are breaking up and then you go back to smoking, that's not fair. Why do you blame me for that? So I said, you are aware that smoking is not good for you. Second thing is, do you accept it? Do you accept it's not good? Because if you don't accept, you're aware but you don't change what? So it's not awareness before change. It's awareness, you must accept, then you agree, I want to change. Then you can change.
I like that you brought it back to him.
Of course.
So that it's his empowerment and his choice to do it for himself and not for you.
So I once have this discussion with my husband. I said, I don't know where I heard this. I said, I repeated back to him and I said it to him. I said, your happiness is not dependent on me. And of course he didn't see it that way. And I realize sometimes when we are talking about this, I don't know your experience, maybe you can share, like some people may not connect with what you say. It's like, what are you talking about, Sam? This doesn't resonate, or like, what do you mean it's not? Have you had situation like that where people said, no, I disagree, or?
Of course, all the time. I mean, I can't think of any specific example, but I mean, you will have your reasons for having a particular perspective, and likewise, they'll have absolutely their own valid reason, for seeing a certain thing their way, and that's valid also. So I'm all for alternative, different perspective, and of course respecting their own process, and their own journey as well. But I mean, if there's a chance for you to share, for them to share their perspective and chance to share your action, you can exchange and see what happens from there. If it resonates, fantastic. If it doesn't, then you can wish each other well, and move on. It's just like that.
Agree to disagree.
Yeah, agree to disagree. Yeah. Don't in that sense, not having to insist on someone else to follow your point of view.
Yeah. What have you discovered about your purpose of life after being on this spiritual journey? Other than, I think when you were talking about Sommelier, you found a purpose. Like, has that purpose changed and shift? You wanted to talk more about spiritual. What else? What more do you wish to, help other people in this journey?
Well, I would say that it's how to act in a way that is not only of service to other people, but also first and foremost to yourself. Yeah, but it's both. It's service to yourself and other people. Yeah. A lot of so-called imbalance or conflict, suffering, whatever comes when it's one more than the other. Like when it's more about other people than yourself, then that's when the idea of like sacrifice, being over sacrificial, being too, like you give in that sense, or you sacrifice yourself for others, and then of course the opposite, which is you being more self-centered and selfish, at the expense of others. So it's about how every action I take now, I will always think about, is that done with integrity, and integrity being one that is of service to myself and others, and one that is something that as a result creates a more expansive result rather than a contractive one. So more, it's just is what I'm doing separative, segregative, or is what I'm doing one that's that is expensive. I'm not sure how to really say it precisely, but I'll always consider like how to act in integrity in that sense.
Being authentic. I think that's. I sometimes look at ourselves like I use this analogy a lot, like onion. Right? That when we are born, we are just like, wow, so pure. Everything was so simple. But then over time, we have society, we have expectation, parents, and then it comes layer and layer. Layer. So our journey is actually just like, okay, peel off maybe this part, this doesn't trigger me anymore. So you peel it off. And then like, parents' expectation, peel it off. And always see that as like we are all souls on earth. And then, we happen to meet, and then soul collide, connect. And then one day maybe, finish my what I need to learn from you, right? And then it's like, okay, because I always find this, I think at 18 years old, I had this experience of traveling, and this 2-person impacted my life. And I think at 18 years old, we went to Australia, and it was like a group tour, right? And this episode, at 18 years old, and this lady, she, actually I was not 18, I was 16, and she's 18. And she would travel with her brother, just two of them, 18 and 17. And then I'm 16, so we can click on the tour. And
similar age.
Yeah, similar age. And then during that time, it wasn't quite safe for Chinese to walk around in Australia because of, the past history.
Back then,
Yes, back then. And then I remember there was one night where we have a free night, and she said, do you want to go Hard Rock Cafe with us?
Okay.
So of course my mom, she's very, very, she has always let us do whatever we wanted to do.
Right.
And my auntie was also on the trip.
Okay.
So my mom said yes. And my mom is very she's very relaxed. I think my mom is like, okay, I trust you a lot. You just go. So we went, the three of us went. But when I came back, my aunt was really upset with me.
Okay.
Because she felt like I have put myself in danger without respecting the rest of the people.
Okay.
But the story was that this 2-person, they impacted my life. And then it was very awkward because my auntie was quite maybe judgmental. At that point, she felt like, they are not good for me. Not good company, right? And so I remember during the trip, I was very wary, like, okay, maybe cannot talk too much to them. And I was also very surprised, like, wow, 18 years old, y'all can travel without your parents, right? So I remember telling myself, okay, when I come back, I must, I must keep in touch with her.
Yeah.
But the minute after we took our luggage, and then I turned around, they left already.
Okay.
So until today, I still don't know who. I mean, I don't have their contact. they probably don't know the story,
Yeah.
but they have left a deep impression. Like the way you get the trust. And I remember she told me why she's able to travel without the parents is because she earned their trust.
Okay.
And then that word, like, earn their trust, wow, stuck with me. Yeah. So I think like little times where people will come in and then they will leave. Just like little messenger, you know. I don't know, have you experienced such episodes before?
Well, yeah, I guess, yeah. Although I don't have a specific example like you, but yours is a very sweet example, I would say. You know,
Yeah.
like someone came into your life, touched you in some way, and left a print or left an influence in some way, and then left, you know. I can't remember anything specifically for myself. I'm sure people
I'm
come
sure
and
you
go.
have.
Yeah. I mean, every interaction is something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you share about, we talk about mental health and then spiritual.
Yeah.
Has that helped you discover who you are? Because you talk about you had a period of darker time.
Yeah.
Has that helped you since now you're more aware
Yeah.
of where you are spiritually?
Definitely. I mean, it's still unfolding in. I mean, you're still learning more about yourself every new day, from your life experiences, interactions with others. Yeah. So I only view it. I guess I just view it in a very positive way. Like everything that comes my way right now, I will know that it is appearing in my face for some reason, and there's something to be grown and learned from here. So even if I may immediately assign a negative meaning to it, but I will catch myself and I'll ask myself like, this thing happened for some reason, right? So although somehow, you know, there's maybe an unconscious belief that is making me believe that this is so negative, but I will challenge myself to, okay, how can this serve me in some way, in a positive way? Yeah. So when you shift your thinking like that, then you will view every encounter, everything that happens in a very positive way.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's like a paradigm shift.
Yeah,
Like,
it really
you just
is.
shift yourself.
Yeah.
So, I mean, your journey is now that you are in this journey, is it something that, you know, do people doubt yourself? Do you get people who not sure where you're going?
Of course.
Then how do you do with these naysayers or these people?
My mom is, well, my family business, right? I mean, they are very, in a sense, deep in the material.
Yeah.
So, of course, money is important, you know, it's a symbol of abundance. But I would say that my family places an overemphasis on this particular symbol, you know, and as a result, they may overlook other symbols of abundance, you know. But so therefore, when they look at how I've decided to shift my focus, right, they were worried. Yeah, because they were, I mean, from the longest time, my mom thinks that I'm too gullible, I'm too nice. I'm gonna give the family fortune away. I'm gonna give, and you know, like, you know, there's this thinking. Yeah.
Do they still think of it now?
Of course.
Oh.
That's why they're worried, you know.
Just
Yeah.
because like they want you to have material like assets or how do we define, like they didn't shift their mindset?
They just worried that I cannot support myself. Yeah, like me going to this, you know. And yeah, of course they place money, the importance of money at this level, right? And everything needs money, blah, 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 you know. So there's resistance from them, you know, when they know that I'm going this direction. Yeah, but they can't stop me in a sense because it's what I want, right? It's what I want to do, what I feel like doing, right?
But do they see that you're happier now and that you are, you know, elated?
I'm very sure they do see that. In fact, I tell her that all the time. I said I'm happier than I ever was. You don't have to worry about me, you know. But of course, they always come back to the
Money.
to the money thing, you know. So at least for now, you know, I, in a sense, well, let's just say that I'm attracting to myself experiences that will give me this symbol of abundance as well, you know. So yeah, so things are still unfolding and happening, you know. And so I know that I'm not worried that I'm gonna be that I have money or what, But I know that whatever experiences that have taken me here and going forward, right, I will be empowered to do what I need to do. Yeah, with whatever money that I need for it to make it happen, I'll be provided for. It's all in process, and it's all good. Yeah, so I can just relax myself, into this process. So just now you were sharing about your experiences with your mom, so I can relate absolutely to that. Yeah, but were there other challenges, like for yourself?
I think there are, like, life is, I think my first 30 years is a lot of like, wow, I fell a lot. Like, so much, like, so sometimes when you hear people say, why does this always happen to me?
Yeah.
And I think there was a paradigm shift where I said, whenever I catch myself saying that back then, was like what you just shared, like, why is this happening to me? And then the question is, what do I have to learn from this? Right? So if you keep running and you don't like break away from the cycle, you're still running the same circle and circle and circle.
Yeah.
So then when you break, that's where you move out. I think back then it was interesting because I had a lot of self-doubt. I'm not who I am now. Like when I was younger, I'm very inferior. So there were a lot of people who said like, hey, I used to have a nickname. I still have the nickname because it's my college friends. Right? I was called the slow spice. Slow man. So those, my spice gang, they would know. Because back then when I was in college, I think I'm always in my head a lot. But I have conversation with myself a lot, right? I think it's quite normal for some people who's like aware.
Yes.
And then why do they call me this is because at times when they share a joke, it takes me maybe 2 minutes later or 3 minutes later, then I laugh at that joke.
Right.
And then they will say, hey, the joke is over, the moment is over. But now they don't call me slow spice anymore because you picked up and you changed. So I think that part of a transition was was a lot. Right, that I go through with, I think first is I lost a friend at 11 years old. That taught me about what life is. Like, hey, why do people die? Why do children die? Yeah, that was something that my first lesson. Right. That was so close to death.
Yes.
And then after that, when my aunt, actually the aunt that I was telling you, she was diagnosed with cancer. And I remember telling myself, this kind of thing will not happen to my family. Yeah, and that narrative is just your head, right?
Yeah.
So like this will not happen to your family. And then it happened to my family. So I was very close to her because she and I, we are like 24 years apart. 我们是 like, born in the same monkey, right?
Yeah.
So she was very pivotal in my growing up because she was the one who guided me independence. Like she would teach us what's right and wrong, how to stand up for ourselves as female.
Yes.
So when she was diagnosed,
model, right?
she was a role model. She was very feisty and like, you don't mess with her, really cannot mess with her. And she's very fierce. She's really very fierce. So she actually passed away 1 year before my dad. Yeah, so that whole darkness, I think when I lost my dad, that was also dark. But I didn't just lose my dad. I actually called off a wedding. Also during the same period. And like within maybe a month, I lost the most weight because I was not eating. And I was not kidding when I said I didn't have food. Because first I was worried about my dad. Then I called off my so-called engagement. And then I had to take like a whole turn like in my life journey. So suddenly this deep is, if I were to chart my life, that was the worst time of my life. And it took so long to get back. Right. And I think back then I haven't started my spiritual journey. It was like going through cycles and or even like falling for the wrong guy. Right? I was like, falling for the guy that I think, and then when I reevaluate, I actually saw the pattern. And I was like, okay, maybe A guy, then the B guy is totally opposite of B guy. A guy, right? So because after I call off the engagement, I ended up with someone who's 180, like opposites. Totally opposite. Then the third guy was again opposite of the B guy. So it's like, so until one day I was like, I think the message came when I saw the A and C guy appearing in my head. And like, how come same pattern? Same, similar, maybe a bit more chauvinist. And I was like, wow, maybe I'm not, I shouldn't be with this whole cycle. So that was when I really broke away from that. cycle and not falling from the same guy. Then when people ask me, oh, so what kind of guy? I think at the point I was already 30. My mom was very worried. It's like, 你还不要嫁人，你还不要选，你还不要结婚. I'm sure you get that. Why you don't want to get married? I still remember my comment to my mom was in Chinese, because my mom spoke Chinese, like 为了你一时的快乐造成我一辈子的悲哀. So it's like, are you gonna let me suffer forever just for your moment of happiness? And my mom was like, 哎呀，受不了你, you have all this big theory, you know. I was like, it's not theory, but it is like just because you want to be happy to see me, you send me away, but it doesn't mean I'm happy in a marriage, right? So then when people ask me, what do I look for in a man? It was so simple. I said, oh, the male version of me. And then they're like, wow, you're quite narcissistic. I said, no, I mean, I want to have the same interests as my significant half so that we can do things together. So I think it took me about 1 year plus to manifest. So now I'm with him, and I always tell him it's my home and adventure at the same time. So we do things together. So I think that darkness, definitely there were times where I also questioned myself, I had times where I asked myself, am I depressed? But I think there was this nudge of this voice that tell me that what do you need to learn, right? You're not in the dark space. And a few years ago, I asked myself when I was taking care of departed who have committed suicide, why did they choose this path? And that still bothers me at times. Like, is there something I can reach out? Is there something I can do before they go even deeper? Can I, if they come to me earlier, is there something I can say so that they can shift their mind, right? So that has, and because I'm very high empathy, and sometimes when I take care of a funeral, actually it affects me. I take on the energy, or I take on, and I can replay in my head. So you know when people send you videos of like accident happening, I have to skip.
You're the person.
I have to skip those videos because
I know the recent one.
Okay, I cannot watch that one because it's someone, it's the girl.
I can cry when I watch it.
So I say, I cannot. So whenever it pop out, I will scroll away because I just cannot. Because I will then straight away go into the person, and then that moment, okay. So then maybe I don't know what you call this. Maybe we are just more hypersensitive.
Yes, you can empathize about another person, but then also having to know that that's not your story, and that is actually, so from a more positive way to look at it is, like from some level, they've chosen this experience, to gain something out of this. And even though from a human point of view, it is loss, it is grief, right? And these are very profound emotions. But it's also to, in that sense, know that, respect their choice, in a sense, a higher choice in that sense. I wonder, because there was a movie, it's a series that I only watched it recently, even though it was screened years ago. But this show, I forgot the name, it's a Korean show, it's a Goblin and God, I think it's called. Goblin and God.
It's a goblin or or king and king. Okay. But it was people, I cannot, go and watch that show, because there was something about how if you commit suicide, then you become something, and then this something is like you just keep going through this whole life until you learn. So it's something that
it's one perspective.
I
wouldn't say it's the truth, but that's one perspective.
I'm always curious, like, hey, actually, what happens after they chosen this path, and then because they are at peace with themselves. And like there's a lot of maybe religious aspect where they say if you cannot commit suicide, because if you do, it's a sin, right? And then back then, I don't know whether people know, there are people who commit suicide, actually they're being handcuffed because it's a crime to commit suicide in Singapore.
I think now
they abolish already. So no longer you you have to do that. But that to me was, I was affected, like, why do souls choose that path? What is it that the soul cannot learn or cannot seek help? And then if you are part of this, right, then how do you help? So there are times where we reach out, or they reach out to us before they take their, make this decision.
Yes.
And despite being or maybe knowing that they're in the dark space,
Yes.
you also try. That's why I got myself, I went for courses to understand how to see signs, how to help them.
Yes.
Remember the, SOS number.
Yes.
So that one day maybe you may meet a stranger and then you can help that stranger to have that last grace, right? Of,
Yes.
to reach out. Because sometimes I think we are there at the right time. And I also blame myself at times like, could I have stopped it? But then I realized
You
after,
couldn't.
I can't,
Because it's
I tried.
not your choice to make.
Yeah, and you said the part where is their story.
Yeah.
And it's also their life.
Yes.
That they may have to go through this in this lifetime
Yes.
for us, their soul.
And I
So,
feel,
yeah.
I mean, if I may add also, that sometimes it's also, it may not necessarily be, okay, a bit unconventional a way to look at this, maybe even taboo, but at least from what I think or what I know, is that sometimes it happens, in a sense, it may not necessarily be for themselves only. It could be an opportunity for others for some reason. Yeah. Whether it's for friends, families, or whether it's as an example to highlight a certain thing. Yeah. So that perhaps society can shift in a certain way so that we can perhaps have more protective measures or have more how can we improve the
Conversation.
system?
Yeah.
So there's, but because of these things happening, therefore society moves, you see. Yeah. So it can be for a number of many reasons.
Many reasons, right?
Yeah,
They're
many,
part
many
of the
reasons.
process to help us. Yeah, I think you know now that you share this, I think when I first took care of a suicidal case,
Yeah.
it was actually it wasn't a single suicide, it was a double suicide.
What does that mean?
Means both husband and wife. So it was then I saw, wow, it was a very sad scene because it was both parents are still, both mothers are still around. And I remember asking the family, is there something that maybe we can make more awareness?
Yeah.
Because it all came together.
Yeah.
Somehow I know someone who knows the husband.
Yeah.
And then they share with me that, he is a musician in the past.
Yes.
So first thing I asked is, do you have a song that, or play in the song? So she
Yeah.
did. So we took that song.
Yeah.
But that closure of that learning, I think helps a family to fit everything in to the box. I don't know whether I'm making sense, but in my mind, I feel like they were maybe pivotal to kickstart the conversation in the family about this thing about depression. Maybe is genetics.
Yeah.
That they should talk about it first.
Yes.
They should be open, like, hey, stop saying, hey, go and fix yourself. Why are you bothered with this kind of things? But to
Yeah.
create the awareness that maybe someone who you see is so bubbly suddenly exit a group chat or suddenly very negative. Maybe
Yeah.
that's a telltale sign also. Yeah. So you never know. Be aware of this group of people, right? So I mean, talking about your journey, spiritual and all that, I'm sure you have some life motto. Like, how do you live your life now? If you have some advice, or nuggets of your wisdom, what would you like the listeners to know?
I guess it's something that I shared just now earlier, which is that regardless anything that happens in your life, to know that it happened for a reason and it happened to help you expand in a certain way. So rather than immediately assigning negative meaning to it, unconsciously, automatically, to perhaps allow yourself to consider what might that thing happen for a positive reason for it. How can it help you or others, learn something from this to expand and to grow a little more. Yeah. So I guess it's just that. Yeah.
So I think, instead of reacting, maybe respond or maybe try to reflect also and reevaluate. I find that that is something that if we can learn, definitely this is something you can then examine how this lesson or this episode happened at this time, at this moment with this person.
Exactly, yeah. In a sense, it's like a state of being then, you know, like rather than be like super negative in a super blame the world, blame the universe, blame everyone else, or I'm a victim, you know, like those are very negative, right? So it's to maintain, you know, a more neutral or at least positive state of being so neutral state of being will be like, you can see why, you know, it negative, but then again, you can also see why it could be positive. So I guess it's to be a neutral or positive state of being, you know, with whatever that happens.
Equanimous. Yeah, that's the way I would say equanimous.
What about for yourself?
I think, I mean, today when you're sharing a lot of lessons that came up, or, you know, I always feel that when we are sharing, you're actually learning or something is coming up or reminding you or an episode. So, definitely the part where I was at Vipassana meditation pop up a lot through our conversation. Because when people say, how can you do 10 days without talking, without phone, without computer, without book?
Oh, you're silent really, throughout?
Yeah, silent.
10 days of silence?
Yeah. It's the best. So people cannot believe it. It's like, are you sure? I said, I want to switch off from the world. Yeah, and the older you get, the more things like you know, parenthood, business, and all that, and then that you have to find moments where you can switch off from the world, right? So that 10 days for me, I think at a very young age, that also helped to give me clarity. Just now when I talk about the cycle, falling for the wrong guy, after that meditation, I came back. I think after a couple of months, then I realized, hey, how come I'm still going through the same cycle? So the biggest lesson for me then was respond, don't react.
Yeah.
Because we are so reactive people, right? Yeah. Like, oh, how can you do that to me? And then after that, but actually when you sit back and you observe the problem or the issue separately and not attaching yourself, and then you respond to that. So like, we call it law of impermanence, right?
Yeah.
So maybe you're having this emotion, state of happiness and state of sadness is impermanent.
Yes.
So that's why you should always quickly like, okay, observe, but don't react. Like you observe, hey, I'm having this emotion. Why is this emotion happening? But observing it instead of attaching it to where you are. Then I think that way you are better if you can evaluate that situation with a more a clearer mind. So that's what I think.
So using your example, then what I would say is actually those past 3 relationships, they served you very well.
Yeah, they did.
They really did, because it gave you a lot of clarity about the kind of guy that suits you.
Yeah. So, you know, I went to the last guy and I told him, thank you for being in my life. Yeah. I think he was shocked with like, how are you thanking me? You know, and we're still friends. Like
cool.
We're still friends. Yeah. So I feel like, like I never asked my current, you know, my husband to erase I met all his girlfriend. They even came to our house to stay over.
Wow. I love it.
Some of the women would be like, 你神经病, are you crazy? You know, I said, but that is who make him who he is now.
Yes.
So I will never eliminate or like destroy the things that. So I said, because of these girls, I should thank them.
Stepping stones. Yes.
Oh, thank you for what you've done. You know, you helped me to groom him to who I want him to be.
I love it. Yes.
I know it's a bit unconventional, but come to talk to me. Okay, that's why we are on this podcast called Unconventional.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, Sam. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Clean Your Toilet podcast.
Discover your true definition of purpose and success, and let your inner work guide you.
Thank you.